How can Rhino afford to use his abilities so much? Why, he just uses his charge card. Welcome to another off the meta build. You know, I've really enjoyed Kub-Rhinos in their years of inclusion in Warframe. I've also enjoyed Rhino. It's funny because the nose of a Kub-Rhino almost looks like a rhino's horn.
From a certain point of view.
I figured these two animalistic entities in Warframe can probably benefit one another. So let's take a look into both the frame, the pet, and maybe even a toy to play with our Kub-Rhino with. Starting with Rhino, we'll go defensive first. Steel or Umbral Fiber will grant bonus Iron Skin, Rhino's glorious first line of defense. Next, Blind Rage. Our angry boy is going to need some power strength. Speaking of strength, Umbral Intensify will intensify those abilities. Next, Gladiator Aegis.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
I'll be throwing Power Drift in the Exilus slot. Okay, so 2 augments. I'm sure you're all very familiar with them. Iron Shrapnel turns Iron Skin into a dual ability, allowing a Rhino to shed his skin and damage enemies around himself, partially in order to recast Iron Skin as he likes. Ironclad Charge turns his charge into an actually important ability, as slamming into enemies grants some bonus armor, and thus more Iron Skin on cast. But is there more that we can do for our abilities? Let's bring in our last 2 mods, Mecha Empowered and Mecha Pulse. Mecha Empowered is an aura mod that boosts damage against enemies marked by a Kub-Rhino. The real meat and potatoes to affect Rhino, however, is Mecha Pulse. Killing a marked enemy grants plus 60% armor for each nearby enemy. This, combined with Ironclad Charge, will allow Rhino to boost those Iron Skin numbers in order to use Iron Skin both offensively and defensively. Also throw in Primed Flow in there somewhere or another. Okay, so setting aside Rhino for the moment, let's bring in our Kub-Rhino. Of course your Kub-Rhino preference is valid, but I'm going to use a Hurus. Why? Because it basically has its own Rhino charge in the form of Hunt, where the Kub-Rhino basically yeets itself into the enemy. So naturally that mod is going to be in there. I'll be swapping out the other ability mod for Fetch. This will teach my Kub-Rhino to bring back my glaive for me so I don't have to track it down myself. Okay, maybe it won't do that, but it'll at least gather resources and crap for me. Okay, so next I've got Link armor in here for obvious reasons. My Rhino has high armor, might as well share. Link health is also the better option with this build, even with Rhino not having vitality. Primed Animal Instinct lets me see enemies and stuff to gather up. I've got Bite and Maul in here for my doggo to bite that just much harder. Next I've got a Flex slot. Personally, I'm stuffing it with Hunter Command to attempt to direct my Kub-Rhino to attack certain units left bleeding, but you could easily throw in a bunch of different mods in this space. Okay, lastly in this list is going to be the Mecha mods. Obviously, Mecha Overdrive is going to confer some status link to our Kub-Rhino. Seeing as right now it's doing some pure slash damage, that might just keep it attacking the same enemy. Also gives the Kub-Rhino some more status duration. Mecha Recharge grants some more recharge rate for the Kub-Rhino's shield, so, you know, a nice bonus to keep some of its health intact between eventual revives and whatnot. With the frame ready, and a Kub-Rhino, there's only one thing left. Obviously, we need to play catch with our pet, and what better way to do that with the brand new glaive released, the Zorus. The Zorus is extra special because it has an infinite combo duration. That means you can charge this bad boy's combo meter at your leisure and let it sit until you need it again. Starting out, some easy mods. Condition Overload for damage, Organ Shatter for crit damage, and Primed Fever Strike for toxin damage, which will be combined with Focus Energy for combo efficiency. This, combined with Zenuric, will easily max out and allow for heavy attack bursts while only losing 10% of the combo meter. There's a lot of mod space left here. One is going to go to Blood Rush. With the maximum combo, this pushes crit chance all the way up to 152%. I'm going to suggest boosting that crit chance further with Gladiator Vice for some more attack speed and Gladiator Might in order to push the crit damage to a 6 times multiplier. Alongside Gladiator Aegis, this lands solidly into the orange and red crit range, which gets pretty dang juicy. Lastly, you have a lovely Flex slot, where you can throw in another elemental mod, or maybe something like Power Throw or Whirlwind depending on your flavor preference. Or maybe you want the Reflex Coil mod so you can use something other than Zenuric with your operator. Oh, and put a stance mod in there too, I guess. Probably have to do that first. Now you could use any primary. You could lean towards one that has higher status like the Quanta Vandal, Kuva Ogress, or the Mutalisk Cernos. However, Mecha Overdrive offers an interesting option. Thanks to some weirdness with how status is currently calculated, there's one option that offers the most status of all. The Kuva Comb. Let me lay it out real quick. Primed Point Blank and Hell's Chamber are obligatory here. Then all of those sweet status mods. Shock and Savvy, Frigid Blast, Scattering Inferno, Toxic Barrage, and Shell Shock. This leaves one flex slot, which I'd suggest leaning towards Contagious Spread, and you can arrange the mods for viral damage for stacking health damage multipliers. Or, a Riven if you're into that. If you've cracked open that Wexela slot, I suggest Lock and Load. That way, as you use the Zorus, you can reload a little of your magazine when you swap back to your shotgun. Now, assuming you've used all the 60/60 mods and Shotgun Savvy, your Kub-Rhino will have a 237% status chance, meaning, I believe, 2 guaranteed slash procs every time it attacks. I think that's neato burrito. Of course, if you think 237% is a little excessive, you could always swap one of the 60/60 mods for another Pure Elemental or Blaze, resulting in only a little bit over 200% chance. Now, as far as pistols go, I'm not sure if I can suggest a single pistol, at least not with the way the Zorus works. Duels may be better. Some arcanes to consider are the melee focused ones, such as Arcane Strike or maybe Arcane Bodyguard to help heal your Kub-Rhino when it gets low on health. The Comb can even decently take advantage of Arcane Tempo even without boosted crit stats. Build stuff out of the way. How do you use this combo? Wait till an enemy gets marked by your Kub-Rhino. Hopefully when the enemy is marked, they'll have enemies around them. Kill the marked one, then try to charge through a bunch of enemies with your one, and then cast Iron Skin. You'll have a quite boosted Iron Skin afterwards. 10 out of 10, worth it. If you get a better set of circumstances, you can shed your skin and recast it, or recast in an emergency. The rest of Rhino's abilities will be pretty decent to cast as well, even if they are a tad pricey. Between castings of Iron Skin, Rhino Charge, and all that, it's a simple matter of charging into some enemies, statusing them with the Comb, and then finishing them all off with the Zorus. Bringing this build together was a fun experience. Rhino and the Kub-Rhino were the first steps, obviously. They're the core of the build. They're the ones this whole build revolves around. The Zorus was an addition after the main idea had formed, with some edits that came with the last part of the build. I had some inklings of using a status-heavy primary, but I finally settled on the Comb right before starting on production. Doing video things with it past the writing stage. I wanted to see what the most ideal option would be, what would make it goofy and nutso. Also, hey, a Comb build without a Riven, 1 part perfectionist, 1 part procrastination, and depression. With the build out of the way, pet your Kub-Rhino, run into battle, bide your time, kill the enemy your pet has their eye on, charge into the midst of battle, shield your body from damage, clear the crowd of enemies, then you and your Kub-Rhino can play fetch after a job well done.